All right, Lithium Digital GT Sport. So I'm going to just play some GT Sport off of YouTube in the background here as I kind of talk about GT Sport here. Um, it's only coming out on PlayStation 4, which, it's an exclusive. That's what sells PlayStation. That what keeps people having their PlayStation. So just like Forza, or whatever, just, that's exclusives to keep people playing their particular consoles and stuff. I, for one, actually went over to the PC race, I guess. You just can do so much more with PC, especially for sim racing, and there's really no one game out there that makes me want to keep my particular console. So, especially Gran Turismo, Gran Turismo GT Sport coming out. They come out so infrequently, and when they do come out, it's not that great. It's underwhelming. I mean, Forza's really just blown GT Sport out of the water as far as how much value you get for your dollar. And GT Sport does, I would say, like Gran Turismo 6 had a little bit better physics than Forza. I guess it was 5 that was competing with at the time. But Forza, or maybe Forza 6 it was competing with, I can't remember. Anyway, whatever the next iteration was, because I think Gran Turismo 6 came out before the next iteration of Forza came out. Forza then blew it away again with graphics and all that. And yeah, it didn't handle, the physics engine wasn't quite as good, but the amount of sheer content you got was a lot better. So I always feel like Gran Turismo is always behind, and it's kind of funny because they spend so many years developing this stuff, and you got people like Slightly Mad Studios is pumping out Project Cars 1 and then 2 back to back, and every other year right now, and then Forza's pumping out their game every other year, and then Gran Turismo takes 4 or 5 years to pump out a game that's still behind the times. I don't get it. It's like, what the hell are they doing over there? It's disappointing because really Gran Turismo is what started. I mean, you wouldn't have a Forza without Gran Turismo, and I think probably just people that split off and created Forza got tired of the long cycles, the long production cycles and stuff. So, with that said, I mean, GT Sport does look awesome. 4K graphics on the PS4 Pro only. It's going to have HDR and all that, and it looks great. If you have a 4K TV or monitor to play it on, of course you'd want a 4K TV, not a 4K monitor, or at least a 16:9 ratio monitor if you were having that, so you get the full screen instead of black bars on the sides. So keep that in mind. If you have a fancy 4K monitor right now, sim racing, you're going to have black bars on the side, unless you have something feature on your monitor that will allow you to stretch it, which then everything looks a little wonky to you. So, but no triple screens on it. It's a console game, so you're limited with what you can do with it. Controller support, from what I've seen and heard, it has some of the best controls out there. And all the simcade racers, and it's not a sim racer; it's a simcade. And I don't think console only people get that until they finally go to PC racing, and then they like, oh, wow, this is different. This is exact. And where consoles are, your input lag and all that, it can be a little fudged with consoles, and the bits of resolution that a console reads is a lot less. You may have 8 bits of resolution in your throttle, but then you go to PC and you got 12 bits of resolution. So, which means that you have these small increments of pickup points, like in your throttle. Think about 8-bit being something like if you're looking at a clock on the wall, and it goes to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 16-bit, not hitting the big numbers, but it hits the little dashes in between 12 and 1, and between 1 and 2. Those little clicks. So anyway, it's I guess that's the best way I can explain it. But GT Sport does look fantastic. I think if you are a PS4 owner, of course you'll buy GT Sport. I mean, why wouldn't you? I actually was a PS4 owner. I just sold mine recently because, you know, I don't have a lot of time to play a lot of different games at one time, and I don't want to invest my time in a console-only game when I know it's going to be limited to what I can do with it already out of the gate. I mean, we already know what it has, 140-something cars, and so it's already behind in say, Project Cars 2. It doesn't have dynamic weather, dynamic tracks, you know. All it really has for it is whatever physics engine that they helped develop. They improved the sounds, and the graphics are improved, which is all great things you want. But is it enough? Really? I don't think so. In this day and age, it's behind. I mean, again, it's behind Forza 7 coming out, and they were developing this for how many years? You can't figure out how to do dynamic weather yet? Come on, guys. And so yeah, I think they focused a little bit more on the sport itself, going into eSports. But then again, you know, it's almost limiting me from what I'm finding out now. Okay, so you can go practice for an online race all day long, and then you got scheduled online races at certain times, which is a lot like iRacing is, which I really don't have time for. And iRacing is far superior as far as physics go. But yeah, so it looks great. I think on paper it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun, and that's really what it's all about, is having fun. If you have a PS4 console, yeah, absolutely get it. If you don't have a PS4 console, is it worth buying one for this game? Nah, I don't think so. If you have a Xbox already, you know, stick with Forza. You're going to get more than you would be getting out of GT Sport. And that's just my prediction. I don't think it's gonna. You know, we'll see once the reviews hit the YouTube. You know, when it finally hits. But there's plenty of release content right now that's out and about that you can make your own conclusions about how good or bad GT Sport is, or if it's for you or not. So in-cars on it, like this in-car here view, looks fantastic. And of course, you know, this is playing off of YouTube, so it's going to look even better in person, of course, in front of your own 4K screen with HDR going on it. But yeah, but you know, back to some of the good things though that GT Sport has. It has eSports, so it's formatted racing, kind of like iRacing, like I said. You got different ratings. You know, again, it kind of reminds me of iRacing. It's online matching system based on how you drive, so to properly match you with others of similar skills. So yeah, that's nothing new to the industry. But what's kind of cool is though the system will go up and down. So it seems a lot like they've kind of been looking at how iRacing does their scoring system with iRating and safety ratings, which is good. That's great that they did that. So you know, you start driving shitty for a while and banging a lot of cars, your rating is going to go down, and it's going to start putting you into matches with people that suck. So, or that people that like to go their own way on the track, you know, that kind of thing. So that's pretty cool. You got PlayStation VR. Now that's awesome that you got PlayStation VR, and I would hope it sells more VRs, but then when I find out about it, it's limited. So you can't even do online races with PlayStation VR, where you can go pick up Project Cars 2 and do online races, and it has full support for the Vive and the Oculus Rift, and play it all day long online with VR. And if you're on a PC, then you can go and use, and you didn't have VR, you could use your Track IR, which is a head tracking system, where when you turn your head, you can look through the corners and stuff. And it's kind of a poor man's VR, but it works really, really well. And it's what I use. Eventually we'll go with VR, I think, once they get to the second generation of VR and up the graphics of it. Right now, it's still too much of not so much the screen door effect, it's just the resolution. I think they fixed the screen door effect for the most part. It's just the resolution is crap still. So, but But yeah, so going on, I mean, we got 19 tracks, 27 layouts, Nordschleife, Brands Hatch, Northern Isle Speedway, Tokyo Express. I mean, some cool tracks, you know, for sure. Nordschleife is in every track nowadays. I mean, that's a staple. You got to have it, right? These aren't, I don't believe these are actually scanned tracks, though. They could be. Leave comment in there if you know that something I don't. But I'm thinking they're just, they were doing tons of photocopies of them and scan, not laser scan, but some kind of type of picturette stuff, you know. But anyway, they also got the cars are all modeled inside and out, so you don't have to worry about that. The special cars only come modeled, which was disappointing in the last release. It was like, come on, guys. I mean, again, you cheaped out on this. Of course, you know, obviously, like you see, improved visuals. Everything looks beautiful in HDR, 4K. You got live livery customization, fully featured livery editor. So that's pretty cool. I know that a lot of people enjoy that. You got your racing for like Brand Central. It's a new form of car discovery. They're an interactive past, present, and future timeline through the lens of auto manufacturers. So that's pretty neat. You race offline, of course. Build your personalized garage and compete in an endless array of challenges in campaign mode. So you got basically the modes are, you know, you got your single race, time trial, drift trial, and two-player split screen. Which, hey, that's pretty cool. You got two-player split screen. So, and then you got your three main classes, which is really just road, rally, and race cars. But you got 100 and, I was saying 140 something earlier. Actually, it's 177 cars, and 137 of them are premium cars, which whatever the hell that means for premium cars. I know they have the special cars in there that are like custom cars that you would never see being produced anywhere else. So that's kind of neat. Again, though, I'd rather have something. I'd rather have real cars and the content and stuff. So it's like, yeah, that's it. Okay, I'm still on the Gran Turismo. Just double checking here, guys. So, but yeah, some pretty cool stuff. Better AI. They're not stuck to the same line anymore, from what I understand. AI is much improved, so that's good. So you should have some pretty good career mode racing going on. So I think it'll be fun as far as that goes. Again, I'm just a little disappointed that they just didn't quite pull the whole thing together. I know they could do it if they had a little bit more time or maybe more resources. Again, they did up the sound engines and stuff, which sounds good from what I see or heard and people talk about. So, but you know, so the not so good again is formatted racing. Okay, so it's great. It's like iRacing, but it's also, you know, you're spending the whole day practicing and then racing at certain times. And I think it's only one time per day that you race, or maybe it's three. I think it actually, you know, I take that back. I think it's 3 different times during the day that you get to actually race. So that's good and bad, depending on if you have the time to do it, you know, at that particular time. If you're a grown up and got a job, and you know, and you got to go to work, I mean, you don't have time for that. So, from what I hear from E3, the handling's fun, but it's not simulation status. Again, Gran Turismo has always been about simulation, but to hear it from simulation sim racers, you know, say that it's not simulation status, goes to say that, you know, games like Assetto Corsa, which is out on consoles as well, Project Cars 1, are maybe a little better, you know. We won't know exactly for sure until it gets here, but it is running 60 frames per second at 4K when racing with other cars on the track. But I have heard that it dips in the 50s at times, which is still isn't too bad for a console game, and it definitely doesn't. It probably doesn't break immersion that much, dropping down in the 50s. But there are some diehard people that are like, "Hey, you don't hit 60 all the time. Hell with you," you know. So. Another down is no dynamic time and weather, so it's definitely behind the times for 2017 to not have that. And you know, keep in mind they delayed this game. It wasn't going to come out in 2016. Now it's the October 17th of 2017. So yeah, a little bit behind there in times as far as that goes. But yeah, no dynamic time. You can actually pick, like you see here, the different time of day. You can pick your different times of day in Gran Turismo Sport, but nothing dynamic, nothing that you start racing in the early wee hours of the morning, and then the sun starts beaming you in the face, and then a storm rolls in or something. You don't have any dynamic weather or anything like that. So, which is disappointing. I don't really care that much about racing in the rain. I mean, I think it looks cool, but I'd rather race in the dry. And but they got some cool things like Porsche coming to it. Porsche's coming everywhere now. That the veil's been lifted off of it, so that's good. See what else. So I probably said enough about it. Well, I'll touch on this. So they don't have Gran Turismo before. You'd have. It's not all about having 1,000 cars anymore. So it's more like having a limited quantity of more quality cars, which is good. I'd rather have that instead of you counting a Civic SI and then a Civic regular as two different. Yeah, it is two different cars, but who the fuck wants to race a Civic? But then again, it was some fun back in the day when I was a kid to race, like in Gran Turismo 1, to take those type of cars. But there wasn't really high-end cars back then. I mean, I'm much older than probably most people that sim race nowadays, but the choices weren't out there like they are now as far as high-end cars to race. So, but I do miss the fact that you can't go get you a Supra and hop it up to 1,000 horsepower and try to control it, wheel spin and stuff, when you're just accelerating down a straightaway, and then you get that tunnel vision when you're passing other cars and stuff. That was a lot of fun in the previous Gran Turismos to do that. So, and that's what Forza still allows you to do. And this isn't a camp Forza channel. It's just, but these two games do actually compete against each other. Although I don't think there's that much competition between them now. Or, you know what, maybe there is, but they both seem to be going on different paths. GT Sports going more for the eSports, and Gran Turismo, and Forza still letting you have fun and hop up your car you like and stuff. So, which is fun. And there's a whole vast, community in Forza that they'll paint your cars and you buy tuner kits for them and all this stuff. So it gets kind of out there as far as how much you can do in it. But yeah, in the past, I was a huge fan of Gran Turismo, and I still am a fan of it, and I'm rooting for them to come out and just wow me, and I really was hoping GT Sport, they would just wow me. Like, holy shit, they hit every nail on the head, but they didn't. They fell short this time. So, is it a game to get? Yeah, if you had a PS4, it is. If you don't own a PS4, it's not something you should go out and waste your money on buying a PS4 just to play Gran Turismo Sport, because there's other alternatives out there that I feel are better. You got Assetto Corsa, you got Project Cars, and then you got Project Cars 2 coming out, which is, got everything in it. And then, of course, you got the Forza. And you know what? If you play on PC, and once you move on to the PC side of it, you don't miss these type of games as much. But of course, if you're just a console racer, that's all you have is one console, then yeah, you would buy. I mean, I certainly, if all I raced on was PS4, I would have every racing game that PS4 offered. The Assetto Corsa, the Project Cars, and the GT Sport, of course. Now, which one would acquire or would take up most of my time? I would bet, being a console racer, that Project Cars would probably take up most of your time, followed by Assetto Corsa on the console, and then GT Sport last. And then you throw in like Dirt 4, Dirt Rally and stuff for when you just want to rip it up on dirt, racing and stuff. But I would bet GT Sport would probably be in the beginning, it come out, it would be your go-to for a little bit, and then you're like, You know what? Project Cars is a lot better. Let's go back to Project Cars 2, play that, and I would bet we'll have to wait and see how many hours are racked up on these games, you know, in the future once it comes out in October. So maybe give it a couple months and see if it stays steady. I mean, there's of course going to be your diehard people that's going to keep playing it over and over, and I know it's going to be fun. I just think that they're again releasing an unfinished game, so they at least hit the graphics part this time ahead of their time, really, as far as graphics go, because not a lot of people have 4K TVs. Most people are still gaming on 1080p, but yeah. Anyway, that's my thoughts on Gran Turismo Sport. Let me know what you think about it. Leave some comments. I also have an article written up on this on my blog, tjrsim.com, so go check that out. I'll release all kind of sim racing news on there, keeping up with what's going on in the sim community. So I like to support sim racing as much as I can, and you should too if you enjoy sim racing. But until next time, let me know what you think, and play nicely in the comments. I'm out.